Hi, it's Dr. Elena Maganto, your wellness coach, and today in this video I want to show you why do we have to control the amount of sugar that we put in our body, what is inducing in our body, and how do we have to read labels to look for any kind of hidden sugar when we go to the supermarket. Sugar right now is one of the main causes of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and related cardiovascular diseases. So it's really important that we control the amount of sugar that we put in the body. So what is sugar? Sugar is a carbohydrate that is formed by carbons, hydrogen, and oxygen. There are different types of carbohydrates and sugar. The most common is the sucrose, that is the one that we have at home, and that is formed by glucose and fructose. Glucose is the source of energy for the body. We do need glucose in order to have energy for exercising or any other activity and metabolic pathways that we have in our body. So we do need glucose. Glucose is inducing spikes of insulin, which is the glucose storage hormone, but also is increasing leptin, which is the hormone that tells your brain to stop eating because you are already full. So those are the two hormones that are controlling appetite. From the glucose that we take, 80% is going to be used by the body. The other 20% is stored as a reservoir in the form of glycogen, which is the source of energy for the body. When we do ingest too much glucose and we absorb the glucose too fast, what is happening is that besides going into energy, glucose can be transformed into triglycerides and then can be transformed in cholesterol. So it's why a lot of the people that has a high increase in cholesterol levels in the body is not related to fat, it's related to the high intake in carbohydrates. So we do have to control the amount of sugar and glucose that we put in the body. Then we have fructose. Fructose can be transformed into glycerol, which glycerol is part of triglycerides. So again, this is why sugar can increase the amount of triglycerides and cholesterol in our body, also from the fructose. So it's really important that we control the amount of fructose, sugar that we put in the body and how do we take it. The key is that we keep the blood glucose level constant in order to have more energy in the body and avoid any kind of energy crisis and avoid any insulin spikes. Because what happens when we put glucose in the body is, one, we keep continually giving spikes of insulin, which at some point our receptor can end up being lazy, binding less to insulin, and end up with insulin resistance, and is one of the main causes for type 2 diabetes. Then, as I said, also glucose can be transformed in cholesterol and we have a higher risk of cardiovascular diseases. But also sugar can cause addictions. It's why a lot of people have sugar cravings continuously, because sugar is able to bind to some receptors in your tongue and your gut that send the signal to your brain the same as nicotine, alcohol, or cocaine. So when that happens, your brain starts releasing dopamine and you feel good. Like, oh, I love sugar, I feel good. Your brain feels good. But when the dopamine decays after 1 hour, your brain starts asking for more sugar, and is why you end up with sugar cravings. Also, what happens is that when you keep giving spikes of glucose and sugar to your body, you can end up with energy crashes. Like, for example, you eat an apple or a banana, maybe after half hour, 1 hour, you are hungry again and you have an energy crash because you absorb that sugar too fast. So the key in order to keep the blood sugar level constant and have energy for a longer time is to have balanced meals and to have fiber and protein with every single meal. Every single meal. So you are preventing having any insulin spikes, any energy crashes, and any addictions. So in order to do that, it's really important that we start reading labels for sugar. That when we go to the supermarket, we don't go too hungry and then we start reading the labels in the back to look for any kind of the hidden sugar. Because you know how many names the sugar has? 61 different names. Who were gonna think that sugar could have 61 different names? So those are the names that we have to look for when we go to a supermarket and we read labels. So I want to show you in a picture now how do we have to read labels to look for sugar and see the amount of sugar that we put in our body. But first, I would like to say my main 2 rules when you read a label. 1, don't buy anything that have more than 3 ingredients on the label, because the more you control what you put in your plate, the key to success in health. So if you have more than 3 ingredients, usually it's a processed food. The closer we are to whole foods, the better. And the other rule is like when you have names that you don't even know what they are and you don't know how to even pronounce, don't even buy it. That means those are additives and chemicals that are causing a lot of damage in your digestive system and a lot of inflammation. So that can end up with serious disorders. So if we go to the picture, this is the picture for a Greek yogurt. We have 20 grams of total carbohydrates. Usually the size of 1 teaspoon is 4 grams of sugar. If we are eating 20 grams of sugar in just 1 serving of yogurt, that means you are eating 5 teaspoons of sugar. You would ever eat 5 teaspoons of sugar like that? Probably not. So why do we eat it in a yogurt like that? That's why we always have to question ourselves. So if we see here, this yogurt has 20 total carbohydrates, which is fiber and sugar. Fiber is usually the healthy sugar that we want to put in the body. The fiber transforms into simple sugar. So ideally we want to have 5 grams or higher for a healthy product. Then we have sugars, which is the natural sugars. For example, yogurt has lactose, which is a natural sugar, or we have added sugars. But if you realize the total amount of sugars plus fiber is not the 20 grams, we have 19, not 20. So there is 1 gram missing that usually is sugar alcohols, starches, or both. We are not able to digest any sugar alcohol, and that's causing a lot of trouble in our digestive system. So in order to know which kind of sugar we have in the label, we go to the ingredients label. And in the ingredients we see we have yogurt, so we have lactose, plus they add sugar, they add fructose, and they add cornstarch. This is the other 1 gram that is missing to fill up to the 20 grams of total carbohydrates. Plus you have a lot of names that, as I said, you don't even know how to pronounce and cause a lot of inflammation in our gut and in a lot of tissues of our body. It's really important that when you go to the supermarket, you start reading any labels. And some of the most common hidden names for sugar are glucose, fructose corn syrup, molasses, fruit juice, any dextrose, maltose, any sugar alcohols, many. So I will recommend you that you click this link below to go to my website and download the PDF with the 61 different names for sugar, so you can start going to the supermarket again when you are not hungry and start looking for any of the hidden sugars, so you avoid any energy crashes, you avoid addictions, and you can start avoiding the risk of cardiovascular diseases and diabetes. So download this PDF and start the journey for a healthier life, and see you in the next video.